For more on this developing story, we welcome in retired Air Force General Mike Hayden. General Hayden, also former director of the CIA and the NSA, currently a principal with the Chertoff Group. Mike, we always appreciate your time. In these situations, whether you were at Langley or with the NSA or in the military, what do you go through trying to get details and evaluate these news reports?
Well, it's really an interesting dynamic, JD. First of all, the most current source of the event is you, in what you're showing. It is the newscast. And so without shame, you know, you've got the 7x24 networks on in your operations center, seeing what people on the ground are reporting. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you try to establish some linkage to liaison services, simply offering your assistance. You don't want to get in their way. So I'm sure Station Chief in Paris is talking to DGSC saying, we stand at the ready for any request you might have. And then finally, JD, you take that long, deep sigh and tell your people, okay, dive into those databases. Those databases now that are characterized by the phrase big data because there's so much in them, and begin to explore, was there anything we had that went unnoticed that may have pointed in the direction of this event?
General, the French President Hollande was at the scene. He is quoted as saying that France is in a state of shock, but I've also seen quotes saying that the French had foiled a couple of would-be terror attacks in recent days. What do you know about the activities in Paris and why Paris would be such a target for terrorists?
Well, let's compare France and the United States, and there's some good news and some bad news here, JD. First of all, in terms of the ability to actually assimilate immigrants and make them part of the larger culture, we're actually pretty good at that. We've got our issues. We've seen these issues lately. But on balance, compared to the rest of the Western world, we really are world class. We're much better than the French at that. So you do have these isolated pockets. You've got arrondissements around Paris that are almost no-go zones for French security services. Now, on the other hand, the French security services, JD, are really good. DGSE is and the other services, they are very aggressive services and frankly have more freedom to act under French law than American services have to operate under U.S. law. So in one sense, the problem there might be worse, but the authorities the government has to deal with the problem probably a bit stronger than we have here.
General, always in retrospect, we tend to hear about, quote, chatter and talk that there might be something that is coming. In the realm of intelligence chatter, do you have any information on what we were hearing or what some of your sources may have been hearing emanating from Paris?
Well, what I have personally, JD, and again, I'm out of government quite a while, but what I have personally is that just this broad base of chatter that ISIS and Al-Qaeda groups, and more often than not, ISIS and Al-Qaeda inspired small groups and individuals were looking for opportunities to take the kinds of actions that you see here today. JD, look, most people with my background 4 or 5 years ago made the conclusion that our enemy's abilities to pull off the mass casualty spectacular was actually very, very low. And then what we're going to get the kinds of attacks like a drive-by shooting in Little Rock or an SUV in Times Square, or the kind of event that we see today. This is going to be the new flavor of the threat from Islamic terrorism.
General Hayden, we will ask you to stand by as you graciously join us this morning to talk about the aftermath of this attack in Paris. We will also be joined by Fred Fleitz, who has spent a fair amount of time in the service of this nation dealing with intelligence matters. So more with Mike Hayden and Fred Fleitz as we continue to monitor the aftermath of the terror attack in Paris here on America's Forum on Newsmax TV. Please stay with us.